Today on the BRStv 52 FAQ, RODI TDS, and how that can affect your filter changes. Hi, I'm RT, your host of BRStv's 52 FAQ, where we answer all kinds of reefing questions from our popular series, 52 Weeks of Reefing. This week we're answering RMLLLL's question from week 34. What do you guys think about testing for TDS in the RO water and changing the filters based on TDS only? Quickest answer is that not all the RO filter change intervals can be accurately determined solely by TDS. Filters like your sediment and carbon block pre-filters, for example, won't really affect TDS, and RO membranes have such an extended lifespan that continually monitoring them every time you make water is frankly a little overkill. The one exception to this rule, however, is deionization resin. RDI resin is a mixed bed, which means it contains cation and anion resins, each with their own distinct charge, whether it be positive or negative. Contaminants that often show up as TDS are reduced as they bond to the surface of the resin. As the resin is depleted, the TDS will rise in tandem with a handy color change, alerting you that it's time to replace the media. So if you can't use TDS to determine when a filter needs to be replaced, how do you make that determination? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Sediment filters are designed to pull particulate matter out of the water, saving your more expensive filters like your carbon blocks and membrane from getting prematurely clogged. When this filter starts to go bad, it clogs, reducing the input pressure to your membrane. This can be monitored with a pressure gauge like those found in our upgrade kits and a good portion of our RO systems. Once you begin to notice a drop, it's time for new sediment filters. A few things to point out here. Sediment filters are the least expensive filter that needs to be replaced on your system, and generally speaking, the more often it's replaced, the better the lifespan of the rest of your filters. I generally prefer the ROSave.Z filters since they hold about twice as much as some other filters before reducing system pressure. Carbon blocks are the pre-filters designed to remove chlorine, chloramine, VOCs, and other compounds out of the water. Monitoring them is a little more involved than other filters, but we have yet to find a method that offers comparable accuracy and ease of use. By simply gathering some water from your system's waste, brine, or reject output and testing it for chlorine with a test like Lamott's chlorine test strips, you can determine if the filter is still performing properly. If you get a reading on the chlorine test, then it likely means that the carbon is exhausted and chlorine is breaking through. It's worth noting that if you have chloramines in your water or prefer an extended lifespan in your carbon blocks, then it might be wise to switch to the universal carbon block. It's designed to remove chloramine and can filter up to 35,000 gallons of water for chlorine. Lastly, your RO membrane will last between 2 and 5 years, but this is pretty dependent on your water source and how the system has been maintained. RO membranes have a rating called a rejection rate. It's a percentage of contaminants, in this case TDS since it's measurable, that's removed from your source water. So a membrane with a rejection rate of 99% on source water that has a TDS of 100 would most likely leave you with 1 TDS left over after it passed through the membrane, but before entering the DI resin. When a membrane goes bad, that rejection rate will slip, resulting in higher TDS output and increased DI resin consumption. That being said, this change is usually pretty gradual, so if you notice your membrane is outputting higher TDS than it was in the past, it may be time for a new membrane. One quick tip, a lot of folks like to use the pen-style TDS meters, and while they can work in a pinch, sometimes they're too accurate for their own good. These meters will pick up dust, hard water spots, small amounts of undissolved salts, and more from your storage container. To prevent that, I'd highly recommend installing an inline TDS meter. These probes are mounted inside the line on your RO system and only come in contact with the water that's being filtered, resulting in a more realistic TDS value. Lastly, if your RO system is lacking any of these features, I'd recommend checking out our upgrade kits since they'll offer the key components you need to get an accurate pulse on most of your filters. So simply put, not all filters' lifespans can be determined via TDS, but there are equally simple ways to monitor those that can. If you're interested in learning more about TDS, source water, and more, do yourself a favor and check out week 7, how to produce the best water possible. Don't forget, answering your questions is what the 52 FAQ is all about, so ask us something you want to know in the YouTube comments below. If you prefer Facebook, check out the Facebook comments on the video section of our website, which is a great place to view the over 500 reefing videos we've released over the years. See you soon with the next 52 FAQ.